Hello and welcome to the Verbal Journal Podcast, episode 137. And it's a public episode, and it's a standing episode. I haven't been standing for an episode in a while, but I thought I'd kind of get the juices flowing, if I may put it that way. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're from the public, hey, what's up? If you're new to this is the Verbal Journal Podcast. We do a lot of different stuff here. For the returning listeners and viewers, hi again. Thank you so much for coming back. And the members and the patrons, hey, treat the public nicely, please. Don't, they know not what they do. I'm here on a Monday, actually, because I was giving myself a little bit of a more chill weekend. We got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and I was just kind of being thankful for just taking a Sunday off. It was also kind of tough coordinating with my producer here, who's back. Donna's back, so, give a round of applause, I guess. And it was just, I guess they were saying, hey, can we do it on a Monday? And I was like, okay, it's not normal, but you're my boss, essentially, I think. I've been told that I am actually an employee of Donna's. So after a long time struggling with that, I'm starting to learn to accept that. And I'm sure that will go perfectly well once I learn to accept that. So anyways, so here we are, and lots of cool stuff to talk about. It's going to be a special episode for sure. And on this podcast, if you're wondering what we do, we talk about a lot of different stuff. I'll give you kind of a rundown in a second. First, I wanted to just kind of give you some updates. So last episode... This is many episodes ago. What is this? Why is this Donna? Why do I have episode 125 pulled up? That's not the one we meant to have pulled up. Nope, that's not the one we meant to have. We meant to have this. Okay. Sorry, I got a real problem here with my producer. I think after they took 2 weeks off to get two root canals, I don't even know how that works, but okay, I think that they're maybe still under some of the medication, because this was the one from last week. Okay, we talked about a lot of different stuff. Lots of cool stuff. And then, I think I was just, then I wanted to show you that now the podcast channel that you're watching this on has over 300 subscribers. Thank you so much to everyone for subscribing. It's been great building this channel up over the last 2.5 years, more than 2.5 years, almost going to be 3 years soon enough. And then, of course, we got the Clips channel. So check that all out. I just love to tell people about how we're doing right at the beginning. We hit 75 subscribers on the Clips channel. That's fantastic. And things are going quite well. Last 2 episodes I did without my producer, and they went very well. Some people were saying maybe I didn't need a producer, but apparently my bosses thought that I did. We'll see about that. That's not ominous, Donna. It's not ominous. Ominous. Thank you. Nothing was said on any of the previous episodes that was weird or bad in any way. And I didn't say anything that I shouldn't have. I just wanted to kind of get that. I just wanted to say that, to make that clear. I understand that I did doubt your second root canal, Donna, and that was, I guess, on me, but it's not really normal to get 2 root canals in 2 weeks, so I feel like I should be forgiven and understood here, because it was a little bit uncertain. I know you're upset about that. But that's all I did. All I did was I doubted the second root canal. I didn't doubt the first one, and I didn't do anything else untoward toward you. I did also put my middle fingers up at one point, and when I skipped the research segment, because I knew that that's your segment and you were gone, so I did put my middle fingers up, and I did say screw Donna, at least once. But that's it. And I'm just saying that right now so no one can, no one can sort of say I didn't address it or anything like that, okay? Yes, I put both middle fingers up. Yes, I know. I know. You and I have talked about this off camera. I don't know why you're acting surprised now. Anyways, what we're going to talk about today is the segments that we got, which are, first I'll talk about Pluribus in the horizontal integration segment. Great. It's going great. I'm loving Pluribus. A bunch of good news we'll just breeze through. I got a really fun headline segment. That should be a headline analysis segment. We got a return of a segment really briefly. And then we'll have, at Donna's behest, a research segment that is so long it's actually unfathomable. And we're going to have to figure out a balance of power here. Where we make these decisions more mutually. We may do a meditation. We have 2 images to look at for the image segment. And then we got some audiovisual stuff that will be absolutely fantastic. So let's get this show on the road, I guess, right? I mean, better late than never. So yeah, I guess that's that. Well, let's get on into the horizontal integration segment. So Pluribus is going great. I'm really enjoying Pluribus. Can I pull up an image from Pluribus sort of as I'm talking about it? Normally we do that. Pluribus episode 4. So yeah, it's really been very interesting and cool. And I'm loving the show overall. Let's put this up. So in the 4th episode, we met the guy I said, obviously we're going to meet this guy. Very interesting dynamic. This is sort of interesting wonder if he's another, sorry, skip this part if you don't want to get spoilers for Pluribus. Episodes 1 through 4. So, he's one of the other sort of regular, normal people that is not infected with this alien virus and so on. So, you see kind of how he's dealing with it differently than, I really wanted to call her Kim for a second, but it's Carol. And even though it takes place in Albuquerque, or she lives in Albuquerque, he obviously is like rejecting the help of the alien people. And Carol's kind of like tried rejecting it, but you can tell, obviously she's accepted it. But the main thrust of this episode is she's trying to figure out whether it's possible to change this situation and reverse either what those other folks are dealing with or what she's dealing with. And I mean, it's interesting because at first she tries to get them to tell the truth because these alien virus people are so honest that she just asks them straight up, like, how do you get rid of your alien virus thing, essentially? And they don't tell her. What I found interesting was she doesn't like persist in asking. She just immediately can immediately read like they're not going to tell me, so I have to drug them, And then it's kind of tragic. I did hate the cliffhanger at the end. I guess shows just do that, and that's like an Apple TV thing in particular, but I guess shows just do that. I mean, I know Breaking Bad obviously did it a lot. Better Call Saul, did they do cliffhangers? They must have done cliffhangers. Also, like, shows just naturally have cliffhangers, but sometimes it's a little more artificial and less natural, and you're like, okay, like, that's just pure cliff right there. It's just a little insulting and annoying, but I blame Apple TV for that for sure. I mean, obviously the visuals are beautiful. Everything's beautiful. I mean, yeah, the central question of why Carol was unaffected by the virus we're not getting any information about that. I hope that information is transmitted in like a subtle or like reasonable way that makes sense, because that's going to be a big deal when they do the ultimate reveal of why Carol was not infected and why this guy and other people were not infected. But yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to watch because I don't know. you see how completely different people react to an absolutely like mind-blowing situation, and it does make you think like, how would I react? Would I be more like Carol, or more like this guy, or more like the guy who was asked for Air Force One so he could fly around in Air Force One and just sleep with a bunch of like models or something? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly what I would do if I was in this situation. I'm tempted to think I would be pretty similar to Carol, honestly. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, why does she want to reverse? It is interesting that she wants to. It's kind of interesting that she so forcefully wants to change the rest of the virus people. Like, I'm not sure I would want to do that. Because you kind of can't deny the good that's coming from the hive mind here, right? I mean, you really can't deny it. Well, I guess you can. I mean, that's sort of the ancient philosophical question of like, is it better to have like free will or to have safety, essentially? Like it's essentially, as I've talked about in videos or whatever, certainly the podcast, like any ethical quandary is balancing two different moral principles, and often, almost always, those two principles are self-determination versus safety or harm reduction. So self-determination versus harm reduction, and in this sense, you could say, well, this hive mind people, they don't have self-determination. I mean, they don't have selves. Every time she asks them their name, they're like, why don't you get it at this point? This individual, but she's starting to get it. I mean, it's only been like a week or two, to be fair. I don't remember exactly how long it's been. I feel like they didn't do a time update on this episode. They didn't do the time. I feel like this was the first one. Okay, I don't know. That's enough for now. Eventually, I'll cut together maybe these ramblings to be like my first reactions to Pluribus, posted on the Clips channel. But, then I'll probably actually do a video on the main channel. That's why this makes it into the horizontal integration segment. It's a little bit tangential, but the horizontal integration segment where we integrate with the main channel. I don't know if I explained that. Okay. Well, that's that. I don't have, much else to say. I don't prepare notes necessarily for this part. I just kind of riff, and people love that. We get a lot of comments. People say, hey, I love that you just riff. And I say, thanks. And they say, you're welcome. And I say, okay, you don't have to say it like that. So it's often what happens. Okay, so that's that. And now we move on swiftly to the next part, which is the Goodish news segment. And this is a really beloved segment because a lot of you, I know, do not pay any attention to the news. You have no idea what's going on. You don't even go online. You know what I mean? You just somehow have access to these videos. But I understand, you don't check anything. You have no idea what's going on. Where would you be without the VJP? I honestly wonder that, and it keeps me up at night. I'm like, I wasn't going to do an episode today, and then I'm like, but then no one's going to know what's going on in the world. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to do an episode. Okay. If you're wondering why we don't go into detail on these things, it's because this is not a news podcast, though, despite what I just said. Okay? So we just breeze through the Goodish news. There's like 25 articles. We're going to breeze through the headlines. A New Orleans man who had his murder conviction tossed wins election as city's chief record keeper. Tennessee state judge blocks National Guard deployment to Memphis. U.S. judge upholds New York law barring immigration agents from courthouses. Hundreds of National Guard troops deployed to Portland and Chicago are being sent home. Mackenzie Scott gives $700 million to historically black colleges. Hey, credit where credit's due. New Zealand's top court rules that Uber drivers are employees. Very significant. Community groups train volunteers to monitor border patrol operations in Charlotte. People are learning and working together. Brazil creates new indigenous territories during protest hit COP30. So I would recommend reading more about all these things, but we are not a news podcast. It's just to inform you briefly. Authors dumped from New Zealand's top book prize after AI used in cover designs. Who would have thought? that these are AI. I mean, this one's harder to tell is AI. I don't know if they did more noodling with it. This one just looks obviously AI and also is not good. Like, why would these ever be chosen? I mean, this one's kind of nice if a human made it. This one's not interesting. Obligate carnivore? Okay. Republican President Donald Trump's approval falls to lowest of his term over prices and Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficker files. Court blocks Texas from using new congressional map backed by Republicans. I think the Supreme Court has already overruled this for now temporarily without justification. Just following orders, goons, ICE frees blind migrant who was detained for days in isolation. Lee Grant, blacklisted during McCarthyism, is speaking out against Florida's teaching standards. Hell yeah. After backlash, Alabama Public Television will keep paying for PBS. Because people actually don't like stupid bullshit that their states are doing. Federal appeals court rejects Republican President Donald Trump's, quote, meritless case against CNN. Judge tosses DOJ lawsuit challenging a New York law barring immigration agents from state courts. We already showed this from a different outlet. Sorry, that happens sometimes. Completely is Donna's fault. Did not happen on the episode that Donna, the 2 episodes that Donna was not here producing. Look, just because I accepted that you're my boss does not mean I can't speak negatively about you. In fact, it's the reason I'm speaking more negatively about you to kind of stick it to the person. I was going to say to the man, but that would be inappropriate. Court settlement calls for NPR to get $36 million in government funds to operate U.S. public radio system. Judge orders new Alabama Senate map after ruling found racial gerrymandering. Descendants obtain works of enslaved potter in landmark restitution deal. Federal prosecutors dismiss charges against woman shot by Border Patrol agents in Chicago. This woman, Marimar Martinez, was shot 7 times with 5 bullets by a Border Patrol goon very far from the border in Chicago, who then bragged about it in a group chat to his goon friends and then drove the car that he smashed into her car with all the way from Illinois to Maine to get it buffed up to hide the evidence to try to lie in court saying that she attacked him. Now then they charged her with charges just like they did with all kinds of different people. Kilmar Garcia, from everyone to Kilmar Garcia to Kat Abu Ghazala. The government charges people with charges after the government itself inflicts violence on people. So that's called DARVO. You reverse victim and offender. So anyways, they had to drop these charges. Like, it's not even like the judge ruled. Like, the prosecutors, the government was like, we can't even. And probably because the stuff was coming out in court, like, read the 230-page, 233-page, order that a Chicago judge recently wrote. And, like, you'll see all this stuff comes out in court. And, like, in this case, a different one than what I just referenced, with Marimar Martinez, like, the stuff was coming out in court, like, about the Signal group chat where the guy's bragging about shooting this woman. You can look it up. He bragged about shooting her to his friends. Oh, did I not mention this woman's a U.S. citizen, by the way? It's probably because I don't give a shit about that. That doesn't mean shit to me. I also don't think you should shoot non-citizens for protesting or for following and recording federal agents who should be held accountable for their actions and will be more and more. Masks do not prevent them from being held accountable. Anyways, goodish news. Judge orders Republican President Donald Trump administration to end National Guard deployment in D.C. French authorities charge Twitter over Holocaust denial comments by AI chatbot Grok. Whoopsies. I wonder if it has anything to do with Elon Musk being a Hitler-saluting Nazi loser who very clearly has posted about Jews in extremely anti-Semitic ways, let alone all his other racism in support of far-right parties. Remember when Elon Musk agreed with someone specifically online that Jews are responsible for anti-white hatred? The protocols of the elders of Elon. Anyways, yeah, the stuff that Grok was saying is that crematories in Auschwitz were conceived as disinfectant chambers, not mass execution, and that the law has made it taboo to acknowledge that this is what they were. So if you still use Twitter, I feel bad for you for your judgment. But I also do just think it's not that's not the most important point. The real point here is that elite figures benefit from white supremacy and racism and colonialism and violence, and we need to hold them accountable to stop those things from existing. Judge blocks Republican President Donald Trump from cutting $350 million in grants to cities and counties. Coast Guard changes swastika policy after widespread backlash. You love to see it. It's great news. Everyone sometimes makes a bad policy. You know what I mean? I love it. They said, totally sorry about the swastika and noose policy, by the way, where they were like, hey, maybe it's not such a bad thing for people who have swastikas and nooses around the office. Totally get that. We all slip up sometimes and make bad policies, but that's awesome to see you all fixing it, you know, stepping up and saying, you know what, maybe everyone's right about the swastika and noose change in our policy we just did. You know, so they said, totally sorry about that. Actually, swastikas probably are not cool for now. You know, whatever you do at home is fine, but, you know, please keep it out of the office for now. We have to at least say that. So great. Love to see it. Because I was a little worried for a second. What the COP30 climate summit in the Amazon delivered for forests and indigenous people. Sorry, this is one that I do have to actually read below the headline. So countries unlocked, and a lot of people are saying that COP30 was a failure or did not meet expectations, but like, I'll take what I can get for now. We need to push forward in a million different ways, and we also need to like appreciate anything. Countries unlocked billions in new funds for forests. Nations failed to agree on a deforestation plan, though. Brazil announces demarcation of 10 new indigenous lands. Record indigenous presence at COP30 with 3,000 leaders attending. You love to see it. That might even be as many as oil lobbyists. Massive fires and farmland expansion threaten tropical forests. So huge problems, obviously, in Brazil and the Amazon. And so it's, yeah, anything that can be gotten out of this meeting is fantastic. But obviously we have to do so much more, and we should all be pushing our governments to take immediate action on climate change. It is the biggest violence. Brazil's ex-president Bolsonaro arrested over alleged plot to escape and avoid 27-year prison term. So speaking of Brazil, now he's come out and say that he was hallucinating, and that's why he scratched through his ankle monitor, and he was just tripping out. He didn't realize what was going on. He was just tripping out. Totally get it, Bolsonaro, but maybe you should be in custody so that doesn't happen again. Federal judge orders release of 16 migrants detained in Idaho raid, citing due process violations. And Republican President Donald Trump administration cannot expand rapid deportations, U.S. Appeals Court rules. Texas A&M committee rules professors firing over gender identity lesson was unjustified. Federal jury awards $80 million to estate of New York man wrongfully convicted of murder. South Africa calls gender violence a national disaster after protests. They weren't going to do it at first, and then people protested, and they said, okay, yeah, you're right. Chicago rejects DOJ grants tied to Republican President Donald Trump's immigration policies. Federal judge blocks IRS from sharing information to help the just following orders goons with deportations, which I call human trafficking. In culture war backlash, Democrats sweep school boards. Look, I'm not a Democrats fan per se, but they're actually the better of the two options. I know, it's a crazy thought. Whoa, picking the better of two options? But I'm a deontologist. Okay. Deontologist. I know how to pronounce it. Okay, and lastly, Rand Paul predicts GOP will fracture over Venezuelan strikes. So that's goodish news. I would certainly think they should, right? Because like that, you know, all these fools being like, I think the Republicans are the anti-war party. I'm a baby. I'm a little baby with no memory of anything. Yeah. Okay, so that's the Goodish news segment. That's what we do. That's how we do it. And we do love to do it, and we get a lot of positive feedback about it. All right, so for this next part, we're going to do a headline analysis. And that is something I really like to do because I am a big fan of media criticism, or I should say critical thinking and media literacy. And I don't know everything about these subjects. I'm just interested in them. I like to explore it. I like to explore how language is used to shape how we think about things. And I find that since people are not reading beyond the headlines, including us on this podcast very often, it's worth understanding how our headlines may be manipulating us. This is a serious pet peeve that bothers me a lot. This first one. So first up, this is a headline from this past week or so. Pentagon says it struck another suspected drug boat in Pacific, killing 3. So my problem with this is 3 people. And you're going to say I'm being nitpicky, and I obviously don't care. But it's 3 people. That's 3 people. And that bothers me a lot when headlines say numbers and don't say people. 3. They could say human beings. They could say 3 persons with agency. They could say 3 people would probably be the less clunky way to do it. And obviously it goes without saying that drug trafficking is not a crime that we punish with instant death or murder. That's not what we do in a civilized society. It is a war crime to kill people in international waters, or a regular crime. I don't know. It's obviously a crime to kill people for suspecting them of something. But yeah, this is 3 people. And another example is U.S. Border Patrol arrests over 130 in first 48 hours of Charlotte immigration operation. 130 people is the word missing there. People. Just, I just think it's worth saying, maybe why do they say in first 48? Why not say in first 48 of Charlotte immigration operation? U.S. Border Patrol arrests over 130 in first 48 of Charlotte immigration operation. Why say hours? You didn't say people. Why say hours? I thought we just put numbers with no nouns next to them. But because I don't want the headlines analysis part of this podcast to be negative, we've kind of been vacillating with it a little bit over the months or weeks. I want to give some good headlines to balance it out, okay? Good headlines to balance it out. Cryptographers held an election. They can't decrypt the results. That's pretty funny, right? It's a little too cheeky, but still kind of funny. Secondly, on the good part, the world's longest underwater cave is even longer than we realized. So that's great. You know what I mean? That's just uplifting. And then we've done the bad, we've done the good. Let's do the awkward headlines. So awkward headlines. Container ship fire in LA substantially contained, officials say. Container ship fire in LA substantially contained. First of all, I did make sure no one was injured before I joked about this in this way. But yeah, I did see that the ship was called a cargo ship in AP News. So Reuters, you might want to call it they call it a cargo ship too. So it's just funny they call it a container. Let's see if they fixed that. If we go to the link, if we go to it again, nope. It's still called that. Container ship fire in LA substantially contained. That's pretty funny. And lastly, right, one more awkward headline. Microsoft's head of AI doesn't understand why people don't like AI, and I don't understand why he doesn't understand because it's pretty obvious. Now, that's funny. I'm not going to begrudge a funny headline, and obviously they're coming from a reasonable place, but it's just really awkward. And also, there needs to be a comma here. I'm sorry, there needs to be a comma. If you want this to work as a run-on headline, which is funny, you got to have another comma. That's just logic. And then as a bonus, because really, we don't need to shy away from the bad, and this is a bad-focused headlines analysis segment, I will show you, lastly, one more bad headline. Airlines cancel all flights to country as U.S. threats intensify. So that's quite a way to write a headline. And it's not even in the byline. The what country are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. They don't even put it in this part of the article? I mean, I get that it's in the first sentence. I'm not saying they're hiding the information, but why would you not put Venezuela in the title? Do you not think people know what Venezuela is? Weird stuff. Okay, so next up we have this is a really exciting moment. You're going to be really happy if you've been a long-time listener of the pod. This is the return of something that used to be too significant part of the pod. It was sort of baked into, actually, so I was just discussing headlines. We used to have a headline section rather than just a headline analysis segment. We used to have a headline section. It was much larger. And then part of that would be the Goodish news. And then we'd have part of that would also be what we're now about to do as a separate segment, callback, which is the Everyone Makes Mistakes segment. So the Everyone Makes Mistakes segment was really fun. I would go through the news and I'd talk about people who they slipped up. They make mistakes. And obviously with my Better Call Saul videos, I always talk about, hey, people can change, grow, people can grow, people can change. Everyone makes mistakes and so on. So today we're going to talk about just a mistake, and how that happens and how anyone can make them. So White House was unaware U.S. ambassador to Israel met with convicted spy. So Mike Huckabee met with a convicted spy, a guy by the name of Jonathan Pollard, who spent quite a long time in prison, if I understand, for 3 decades in prison for spying for the Zionist ethnic state of Israel. So for spying for Israel, he's now privately meeting with the U.S. ambassador to Israel. So the U.S. ambassador to Israel meeting with a guy who's the most famous American to spy for Israel. That's a classic freaking mistake. That's just such a classic mistake. You know what I mean? I saw this headline and I was like, this is perfect for the Everyone Makes Mistakes segment because it was a mistake. He was, Mike, what? Yeah, you think that, I mean, that has got to be a mistake. The guy passed highly classified U.S. material to Israel, and then he moved to Israel in 2020. Okay, a lot of people, 2020 was a crazy year. A lot of people moved a lot of places. You know what I mean? Huckabee, sure, he calls parts of the West Bank Judea and Samaria because he thinks the Bible should be our geopolitical manual or something, Mike Huckabee. But I don't know. He made a mistake. Oh, okay, yeah. He wanted to thank Mike Huckabee for supporting this guy when he was in prison, because when Mike Huckabee ran for president in 2011, he advocated for this convicted spy's release back in 2011. So, nonetheless, I'm sure it was a mistake. I guess that makes it seem a lot less like a mistake, right? Shouldn't have read that part. Kind of messes with the segment. Anyways, I believe it was a mistake. I'm sure there was no passing of information or anything. I'm sure it was just a brief, hey, thanks for all you did. Yeah, I was totally canceled for spying, and that was so messed up. Cancel culture's out of control. Okay, let's move on, right? Because we have this whole thing that Donna's arranged. and I'm really happy to do it. So, okay, so we didn't do the research segment last week, okay? And we might have been kind of loud about that and proud about that. I might have been kind of loud and proud about that. I'm getting a call. Of course. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. I just got a call saying that the higher ups here could tell that I tried to not pull up all these research articles, and they were like, "Hey, I see that you tried to not pull up all the research articles. Could you make sure to pull them all up?" Like, sure. So I guess because I took it upon myself to not do the research segment, like I thought I did have some control about that stuff, but okay. Now I'm being punished, I think. Is that fair to say, Donna? Are you punishing me? Come on. Donna loves research. And they wanted me to do a little bit more research segment as a part of a welcome back gift to my producer. What podcasts are like that, where the producer is like, can you do a longer segment to welcome me back? This is why no one watches this. It's not because I'm not good at marketing. I know you were going to say that. But I think we can do this. I think this is going to be interesting for some people. So let's just kind of look and see what's in there. There's 28 research articles or other research related things for us to go through. Most of it very current. So first up, this is Connects 2025, an article about CO2 releases from abandoned coal mines in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. And it's about elevated CO2 levels emitting from the air-filled shafts of abandoned mines. Longitudinal data collected downstream of the discharges at numerous mine sites demonstrate that the carbon dioxide concentration decreases rapidly as the mine water flows away from the point of discharge. Previous studies suggested that the cumulative flux of carbon dioxide from coal mines may be significant. Current data illustrate the range in regional concentrations along with the importance of understanding changes spatially with hydrologic conditions and through time. Donna, I don't know about this type of stuff. I can't explain this to people, Oh, okay. These concentrations are up to 1,300 times greater than carbon dioxide that would be expected due to equilibrium with atmospheric CO2 concentration. So it seems like probably these companies should be responsible for this and be held accountable. Next. Macro-level determinants of nature connectedness, an exploratory analysis of 61 countries. So actually studying how people are connected to nature. Using linear factor and network analysis, several objective country indicators were significantly associated and subjective country indicators, including urbanicity, business environment, scientific, and religious values. These were associated with nature connectedness in a way they don't, I guess, want to tell you in the abstract. Do we have the whole article? Okay, we do. So what you do with research articles is you scroll down to the discussion. If you don't have a lot of time, if your producer's making you go through a lot of stuff. This analysis looked at numerous countries to look at how connected people are to nature, right? And they found a lot of stuff. Key findings suggest that socioeconomic conditions, biodiversity, spirituality, and attitudes towards technology are associated with nature connectedness. For a renewed relationship with nature, structural socioeconomic systems and biodiversity efforts must align with techno-spiritual aspects. The integration of technological advancements and spiritual evolution is perhaps key for addressing the human-nature disconnect, emphasizing the need for new concepts like sacred ecology and techno-social dynamics. Okay, so this seems like one you might have to read the full article to understand, unlike most studies. Next, precipitation legacy effects on soil microbiota facilitate adaptive drought responses in plants. So I've always said that. And if we look at the abstract, they did RNA sequencing of roots that revealed that soil microbiota So Donna said that since they were coming back after 2 root canals, they wanted to simulate the experience of root canals for me and for the podcast listeners by having loud machinery going on. And so they actually hired various contractors to do various machinery noises during the podcast. I was surprised we didn't hear any until now, but I just need to explain. So it's to simulate the root canal experience. I don't know. I would never say that we should do that. To me, I would say like we should just not simulate the root canal experience. You know, I just think a podcast should be a different type of thing than that. So I personally wasn't for this plan. I didn't approve of this, and I don't want to experience. I don't want to feel like I'm going through 1 or 2 root canals when I'm doing a podcast. And I'm sure you don't want to feel this when you're listening to a podcast. I said we shouldn't do this. You know what I mean? I said, no, let's just do the podcast normally. You know, I don't think you need to simulate a root canal for our listeners. This is what you wanted? During your own segment, they're doing this. If you're having a good time, I'm having a good time, Donna. Our results show how historical exposure to water stress alters soil microbiota with consequences for future drought responses of some plants. Okay, next up. Miocene and Pliocene ice and air from the Allen Hills Blue Ice area, East Antarctica. So basically what this one found is that basal ice is nearly devoid of gases and remains to be dated with existing methods. Oh wait, never mind. Surface temperatures inferred from water isotopes correlate with sample age and indicate this amount of cooling in Antarctica between 6 million years ago, I think. They speculate that the ice reflects surface snowpack or permafrost that was preserved by the growth of East Antarctica. It's so hard to do this, Donna. Like, why did you have to simulate? You're putting me through 2 things that... An extraordinary colonial spider community in Sulphur Cave, Albania, Greece, sustained by chemoautotrophy. They found a seasonal pattern in fecundity with significantly larger egg clutches in early summer. Microbiome analysis of this species also revealed a lower Shannon. I don't even know what Shannon... Who is Shannon? Is that someone you know, Donna? I don't... Our findings unveil a unique case of facultative coloniality in the cosmopolitan spider. In this cosmopolitan... likely driven by resource abundance... I don't know anything about this. Threats to conservation from artificial intelligence-generated wildlife images and videos. Wow. What? The potential for confusion that AI-generated photos and videos on social media may provoke is likely to intensify with the creation of increasingly realistic images and videos. This underscores the necessity of indicating whether content has been generated by AI, thereby preventing the spread of misinformation and preserving the integrity of scientific knowledge about conservation. This issue is far from trivial because it is likely that AI-generated content will become more common than content created by humans. Therefore, it is urgent to implement initiatives that educate children and adults on how to critically engage with digital content. The fostering of media literacy, I feel like I'm getting several root canals at the same time, could empower individuals to question the authenticity of images and videos posted on social media. The principal question remains unresolved. Who decides the boundaries of information sharing? In this context, the filtering of AI-created fake content related to wild flora or fauna may appear to be another problem related to consumption of online content. It seems unlikely that common regulations worldwide can be implemented in the near future. Therefore, we strongly believe that educational content on wildlife should alert users to the fact that not everything they see on the internet is real. Next. Is that enough for the machinery, Donna? Can you tell them to stop? Are you in control of this, or is this... You are in control of this. Wow. You're the producer. You don't realize this affects you? Like, this is on your resume. This podcast, people will look at this and listen to this episode. A rapidly closing window for coral persistence under global warming. So basically, their simulations show that resilient reefs are primarily in bleaching refugia, which is also support a greater diversity of while cool adapted corals disperse to warm spots, we found no evidence of gene swamping undermining thermal adaptation. Our findings highlight that management opportunities exist to promote adaptation in thermal refugia and warm spots, but emphasize that curbing global warming by 2050 is crucial for coral persistence. Identical particles as a genuine non-local resource. What? Like, I don't even know what these words mean. So, they showed that all fermion states and most boson states provide a sufficient quantum resource to exhibit non-locality in passive linear optics. Donna, we need to talk off camera after today's episode about what this podcast is and why we originally started looking at research. Because it wasn't to talk about stuff I don't know about. You know what I mean? Landscape-wide cosmogram built by the early community of Aguada Phoenix in southeastern Mesoamerica. So, societies without prominent hierarchies could build large constructions, and they're not sure how. So they checked it out, and using light detection and excavations, and documented a site plan composed of nested cross forms built between 1050 and 700 BCE. Its center was marked by large cruciform cache containing the earliest known directional color symbols in Mesoamerica. Okay, they're done now? You're done simulating a root canal for us? Thanks. Our listeners are really happy about that. I'm sorry, y'all. I will figure out this Donna situation. Yeah, you're a situation now. Yeah, this is enough. I think this podcast needs to go back to not having a producer. I'm just going to say that. If anyone is listening in the higher ups at VJP Corp, please just consider it. Yeah. This extreme warming of Amazon waters in a changing climate. In 2023, an unprecedented drought and heat wave severely affected Amazon waters, leading to high mortality of fishes and river dolphins. This is so sad. We were talking about this recently. 5 of 10 lakes monitored had exceptionally high daytime water temperatures, with one large lake reaching up to 41 degrees Celsius in the entire approximately 2-meter deep water column and up to 13 degrees Celsius of dial variation. These kill dolphins. They just all died. The extreme heating of Amazon waters follows a long-term increase of 0.6 degrees Celsius per decade, revealed by satellite estimates across the region's lakes between 1990. We just need to listen to scientists on more stuff. Is this how the root canal was? Like you'd think they were done, and then they just kept going. Is that why you're doing it this way? Okay. With ongoing climate change, temperatures that approach or exceed thermal tolerances for aquatic life are likely to become more common in tropical aquatic systems. Next, nanobodies, a new paradigm for brain disorder therapies. Camelid-derived, I can't even think. I don't know why my producer would do this. Camelid-derived nanobodies offer a promising alternative to conventional antibodies for the treatment of brain disorders. Their current development in models of schizophrenia or Alzheimer's disease highlights their strong therapeutic potential. Optimizing their delivery and ensuring their safety are major challenges, but their modularity and low immunogenicity... Transdiagnostic reduction in corticocholine-containing compounds and anxiety... Oh, wait, this is interesting. What is this again? Anxiety disorders are highly prevalent and often untreated or unresponsive to treatment, although proton magnetic resonance spectroscopy studies of anxiety disorders have been conducted. Consensus. So they looked at the total choline levels, significantly reduced in prefrontal cortex and across all cortical regions. Significant effect sizes. Reduced choline-containing compounds in cortical regions is a consistent transdiagnostic abnormality in anxiety disorders, notably arousal-related neuromodulators, including norepinephrine, alter membrane phospholipid homeostasis, and methylation reactions, which influence brain. It's what type of choline? Or what is it again? Total choline levels. So it suggests that chronically elevated arousal and anxiety disorders may increase neurometabolic demand for choline compounds without a proportionate increase in brain uptake, leading to reduced total choline levels. That's really interesting. I mean, you really have to think about like the compound impact of stress over time. And it's so important to let stress off, to unwind and so on. Okay. You have arrived in hell. Torture and other abuses against Venezuelans in El Salvador's mega prison. You should be reading all this stuff for more information. I can only give you a little taste now. There's a lot going on here at the studio, obviously. Are the contractors even working on anything, Donna, or did you just... I'm losing my mind here. Are they building anything, or did you just ask them to do this? So, in conclusion, okay, there's no conclusion because this is not a study, but this is about the various issues with the prison that we trafficked people to from our country. So the recommendations overall are end any transfer or removal of third country nationals and other people at risk of abuse to El Salvador, given prior reports of torture and ill treatment in Salvadoran prisons and the evidence included in this report. Stop the expulsion or involuntary transfer of non-citizens to third countries to which they have no genuine ties. Disclose any agreements with El Salvador related to transfers or detention of U.S. transferred non-citizens, because they don't even tell us. Cease all funding to El Salvador's police, army, prison system, and attorney general's office until the government adopts verifiable steps to ensure accountability and non-recurrence of the human rights violations documented. Issue an executive order rescinding the proclamation of March 14th, which invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport migrants to third countries. Ensure that Venezuela... So, a lot of other things. Respect the legal status of people who arrived in the United States under humanitarian parole. Yeah. The phonology of sperm whale coda vowels. So how do sperm whales talk, essentially? These are a structured series of clicks used for communication. They have been shown to resemble human vowels. Sperm whale coda vocalizations thus represent... I'm losing my mind, Donna. Can you please ask them to stop? Please just ask them to stop. I get it. I get it. I believe you went to get root canals, okay? I do. I mean it. I mean it. I believe it. Sperm whale coda vocalizations thus represent one of the closest parallels to human phonology of any known animal communication system because of these similarities. Traditional count and timing coda types. I don't know. A meta-analytic review of anger management activities that increase or decrease arousal. What fuels or douses rage? Wow, interesting. Of all the negative emotions, anger is the one people have the most difficulty regulating. Activities that decrease arousal, like breathing, meditation, yoga, decrease anger. Yeah. Popular wisdom suggests that venting reduces anger and aggression, but it does not. Interesting. Going for a run is good for your heart, but is not good for managing anger. Wow. That's really interesting. They looked at a lot of studies. A lot of people involved. So very interesting. Turning down the heat, calming down, engaging in activities that decrease arousal, like meditation, which I would love to do on this podcast, Anna. I know you're not a fan of it, but we've been doing it while you were gone. It was going really well. Maybe we could do the meditation segment after as like a reward for me, being such a good sport with this root canal simulation you're doing. So there's something where a telescope saw something and they think it's the first object to agree with pop star. It's a pop star. They saw a pop star. There's halos. The pop star that sings the song Halo. What are we talking about here? Next. Single nucleus profiling highlights the all-brain echinoderm nervous system. So they basically found that the echinoderm body plan is predominantly head-like and exhibits an all-brain organization. It's better than no brain. Okay, next. Self-assembled clusters of mutually repelling particles in confinement. Here we demonstrate with both simulations and experiments that it is possible to induce particles of very different types to self-assemble into the same order geometric structure by simply regulating the ratio between the repulsive and confining forces. The galaxy, this is one about a galaxy. Its undisturbed outer elliptical morphology suggests that its recent central star formation was likely produced by either in situ residual gas or by the accretion of external pristine gas, not associated with a minor merging activity. Okay. Listening to music modulates EEG functional connectivity during subsequent time estimation. A comparison study Results suggest that music can modulate brain functional synchronization involved in time perception. Moreover, the differential between group results provide further evidence of the significant influence of musical training on the functional connectivity of the human brain at rest when estimating time. Musical training may produce functional changes that favor global integration and optimize temporal processing, with less susceptibility to external temporal perturbations. Now, I wish I was less susceptible to external perturbations of noise. So, fossil fuel, I mentioned this. Fossil fuel lobbyists were flooding COP30 climate talks. 1 in every 25 COP30 attendees was a fossil fuel lobbyist. More than 1,600 fossil fuel lobbyists were granted access to COP30 climate talks. Unfathomable. They should not be allowed access. Cat ownership and schizophrenia-related disorders and psychotic-like experiences. This blew my mind, y'all. I really wish that I had sort of a proper ability to go into detail on this, because I was like, no way, right? That's crazy. But apparently, they looked at ultimately 17 studies that fit the criteria. And they found support for the hypothesis that cat exposure is associated with an increased risk of broadly defined schizophrenia-related disorders. But the findings related to psychotic-like experiences were mixed. So, bit of a mixed results, and they got to do more studies. But they actually, I didn't realize this, but there's a proposed causal agent, a intracellular protozoan parasite found in domestic cats, that has been associated with, it can persist in the central nervous system and has been linked to a broad range of direct and indirect physiological changes in the brain. Systematic reviews have provided evidence in support of association between past infection and increased risk of schizophrenia. It's honestly fascinating. It's really fascinating. I'd love to learn more about this another time when it's quiet. Clinical trials affected by research grant terminations at the NIH. So this is obviously the current Republican autocracy's goal to decrease literacy and science. This found an unprecedented number of research grants at the NIH have been terminated, potentially affecting the conduct of ongoing clinical trials. Okay. The question of Jackson Pollock's balance, using lacunarity and fractal analysis to distinguish poured paintings by adults and children. I love Max Ernst. They found that the children's paintings are so they basically had both children and adults pour paintings. They created under control. 4 to 6 year olds and 18 to 25 year olds pouring fluid paint onto horizontal sheets of paper. And to basically say, could a kid do a Jackson Pollock? Well, an adult couldn't either, but because it's a unique approach to art, even if it's poured or whatever. And Pollock wasn't the first person to pour paint, but They found that children's paintings are characterized by smaller fractal dimensions, indicating a reduced contribution of fine structure, and by larger lacunarity parameters, indicating a larger clustering of this fine structure compared to adult paintings. It sounds like they're saying that the adults put more time into it and more work and got more detail from it. Then they asked observers to rate their perceptions of the paintings, and the ratings indicate a rise in interest and pleasantness for paintings with lower fractal dimensions and larger lacunarity. That's what the kids did. Wow, people like the kids' paintings more than the adults. That's cool. So I guess if I just go to the conclusion, they say the artistic patterns generated by the pouring technique can be distinguished based on the artist's ages by integrating this analysis. Thanks. Are we done now? I get it. I get what it was like for you to go through 2 root canals now. Oh, and they even included 2 works by Pollock and Ernst. So, along with Claude Monet's cataracts, Vincent van Gogh's psychological challenges, and Willem de Koonig's Alzheimer's condition, art historical discussions of Pollock's limited biomechanical balance serves as a reminder that conditions that present challenges in aspects of our daily lives can lead to magnificent achievements in art. Yeah, that's true. Affirming this idea through science serves as an additional motivation for future experiments. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Very interesting. And I guess they showed that art is cool. We're almost done, I swear, with this research fucking segment. These findings, so this one's about ethanol ingestion. This is about chimpanzees having a drinking problem, apparently. Ethanol is widespread within tropical fruits, and modern predisposition to alcohol consumption derives from ancestral exposure to this psychoactive substance. I didn't realize that. Whoa, they actually think that we drink alcohol like as a continuation of chimpanzees eating alcohol and fruits. Of course, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay, next up, exploration of novel biomarkers through a precision medicine approach using multiomics and brain organoids in patients with atypical depression and psychotic symptoms. Sorry, what? Novel biomarkers, precision medicine approach using multiomics. I don't know what that is. Major depressive disorder with atypical features accompanied by psychotic symptoms represents a severe and under-researched subtype of depression and severe mental illness characterized by significant personal and social impact. Study aims to explore novel biomarkers through a precision medicine approach by combining clinical data, white blood cell, single-cell RNA sequencing, plasma proteomics, and brain organoid models to uncover immunological and neurological alterations. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know enough to know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about here. So they basically found elevated levels of trauma exposure, anxiety, and depression consistent with previous findings that individuals with serious mental illness report higher rates of lifetime trauma compared to the general population. Such exposures are well documented to influence inflammatory processes, immune cell phenotypes, and psychiatric symptomatology. Really, the more we study it, there's more and more connections between the mind and the body. They're integrated. You know what I mean? The mind is a emergent phenomena of physiological functionings. All right, we'll save this for another time. Ultra-processed foods and human health, the main thesis and the evidence. So summarizing, I mean, you gotta give me some more juice than that, right? This is the Juice podcast. The totality of evidence supports the thesis that displacement of long-established dietary patterns by ultra-processed foods is a key driver of the escalating global burden of multiple diet-related chronic illnesses. Very interesting. 2 companion papers in the series. Yeah, that's how I found about this, from an article based on the 3 papers. Cool. And lastly, there's just a brief thing about from the National Energy Assistance Directors Association about energy prices going up 10.5% in the U.S. since January 2025. Average electric bills rising a ton, while people's wages are not, if you believe it. So people, wow. For low and middle income families, the burden of rising electricity prices is severe. These households now spend between 6% and 10% of their income on energy, 3 to 5 times the proportion spent by higher income households. There should be a comma there. Please hire me if you want proofreading on your report. But yeah, that's crazy. 6 to 10% on energy, which is 3 to 5 times the proportion spent by higher income households. Yeah. So yeah, big problem. High interest rates are raising the costs of financing new power plants and transmission projects. Rising natural gas prices are driving up generation costs. Path forward. Solution to rising energy costs is not to slow the clean energy transition, but to accelerate it through investment in renewable power, modern grid infrastructure, and energy efficiency. Expanding community solar, rooftop generation, and weatherization programs can help stabilize prices and reduce household vulnerability to volatile markets. Well, we did it. We did it. I mean, you can't say I didn't do it. Right? I welcomed you back with the research segment, and I even put up with that insane shenanigan you just pulled. I know we're still recording. Oh my God, though. I can't carry this enormous burden. We're not going to do this. I mean, we can't do this anymore, Donna. After today's episode, we're going to have a serious talking to about that. I mean, I just want the viewers to know and the listeners, like, that was a one-time thing. You know what I mean? That was a one-time thing. It's never going to happen again. I can commit to that, Donna. I can. Because I'm the talent here. And I'm going to only do the podcast if we have less than 28 research articles to go through. I would say less than 10. I'm going to actually say less than 5. I think we need to comment below or write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. So maybe that'll help my sort of my case here with the higher ups. But it's not going to be like that anymore. In fact, a lot of things are changing here at the podcast for the better. And now we'll do the meditation. Come on. Really? You're just going to say no after all of what I just did for you? I need a meditation. The rest of this podcast is not going to... So Donna hates the meditation segment. They say no one likes it, but I know people like it. I know people like it. We've been doing meditations. I've been helping you all get really zen, but I guess if I can't do it today, I can't do it. And I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sort of meditate on the side here mentally because I'm not allowed to do that, I guess. We don't have time. Moving on, we have the image segment, which is a very fun, beloved segment that I hope brings us back to a good place here. First image that we like to look at an image, just kind of think about it. This is an image. It's appears to be some sort of fish, and we don't overthink things on the image segment. We just kind of look at images. Look at how nice it looks. The blue and the it's got like, I don't know if is this dead? I don't know why it's lying on the sand like that, but there's something there's another thing to look at it with this. Okay, this is in reference to something. Is Japanese folklore concerning deep sea fish appearance a real precursor of earthquakes? There's more research? No. It's enough already. This is the image segment. We don't look at research during the image segment, Donna. So apparently this fish is known, it's some sort of fish known to predict earthquakes, but this study found that it didn't actually. So might be just superstition and correlation without causation. I just like the image, which is kind of the whole point. I'm sorry, Donna. A lot of your fun and games and so on is probably gonna go over well with the higher ups, but not this. You do not disrespect the image segment like that. Unbelievable. What is wrong with people these days? You know what I mean? What is wrong with podcast producers these days? Not the talent, obviously. Okay, so next up on the image segment, because we do have a part 2 of the image segment. This is just something that I stumbled across on Goodreads. I like to look at Goodreads. And I looked at the page for famous grifter David Rubin. And look at the image they have for Dave Rubin on Goodreads. That's the actual image that Goodreads has for Dave Rubin. Oh my god, like who chooses that? Oh my god. That's amazing. That is unbelievable. All right, so you notice how I did that? I just look at an image, I talk about it, I don't, find a study on Dave Rubin's facial expressions or something. Okay. Now we move right along in to the audiovisual segment, and you are going to love this. We play videos that have audio, we do audiovisual stuff, and then I sort of say things. First up on the audiovisual segment, this is a video from the Zionist ethno-state of Israel, which is continuing to murder Palestinians as well as Lebanese people, and just thinking that they can attack people because they have not been held accountable for their actions. But what we're seeing right now is Eric Adams taking a trip to the Zionist ethno-state, and just thought this was kind of interesting. So let's just check this out really quick. You may have seen this, but here's the full video. He's praying at the wall. He's like, please let more foreign people funnel money into my pocket. He's wearing a yarmulke. He's not Jewish, obviously. I don't believe Eric Adams is Jewish. Jewish? Let's see. Eric Adams Jewish? No, he's not Jewish. He identifies as Christian. So, but you kind of, if you're praying at the wall, they want you to have a yarmulke on. I don't get it. I am Jewish. I grew up Jewish. I don't really, I don't see why it's that significant. But hey, everyone has their traditions. Like yarmulkes are perfectly cool. I don't get why you'd need like a non-Jewish person to wear a yarmulke. I mean, that just seems like strange to me. Like why? But I'm not. It's not something to be critical about. That's whatever. That's a Jewish tradition. It just seems a little strange for the New York mayor during his tenure to be traveling to a country that's committing war crimes and genocide and then praying at their religious sites, knowing that they're not allowing so many other people to have rights within their territories and beyond it. But okay. So he's writing, and now we get to hear his thoughts and reflections, right? What does he have to say?
I started my Mayo Tea here in Israel, and as I finished, I wanted to come back here to Israel and let you know that I serve you as the mayor, but I want to continue to have the title that's more important to me than anything. I'm your brother. Thank you.
So, Eric Adams just told Israelis that he served them as as the mayor? He served I thought he was the mayor of New York City. But he served Israel as their mayor. And then, so that just seemed a little surprising because I would think that the mayor serves like the citizens of the city or like the residents of the city that they're the mayor of. But he served the Zionist ethnic state of Israel as mayor, apparently. That's interesting. Okay, next on the audiovisual segment, we have... Oh, just wanted to mention this. Yeah, he is still the mayor. So, but yeah, not for long. Next up on the audiovisual segment, we have Facebook apparently still exists. This is a video from Facebook. I did not realize Facebook still existed. Apparently people use it. I'm sure you heard about this. These are Democratic senators giving a message to current people in the military of the United States, which is currently, being sent into U.S. cities to support state capturing of people, and it's quite a problem. So these Democratic senators or congresspeople, I think it's senators, wanted to speak to the military, and these are all like veterans, I believe, who are senators. So, anyways, let's see what they said. I'm big about how, going through the Holocaust, through other violence, like people always just say they're just following orders. So I'm big on trying to say, hey, maybe just following orders is not a good reason to do things. And I thought this might support my argument. So let's see. Oh, they call it the audiovisual segment for a reason. Let's get that audio. Okay. Facebook, I'm trying to turn the audio on. And then I go back to the beginning. And then I hit play. And then it turns the audio off? Facebook, that's strange. But okay, I'll do it your way. I won't go back to the beginning. Wait, you're just turning the audio off regardless? Stop turning the audio off, Facebook. Okay, this is actually insane. Facebook is just refusing to play the audio on the clip.
Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow was a
go.
captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day.
Keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
That was really powerful. I got to be honest. That gave me chills. I know it's like cliche or whatever, and I don't like these Democratic senators. They're not my favorite senators. They're not my favorite people in leadership or in politics at all. And in fact, they work against a lot of the causes that I find most important. But I haven't looked into all of them, but I'm pretty sure that's true. But when they're right, and they are the right people to be delivering this message, and they delivered it well. I like you can refuse illegal orders, and then you must refuse illegal orders. It's a really important message, and I'm sure some people in the military saw this. It was amplified a lot when the Republican autocrat responded by saying that they should be charged with a crime that's punishable by death. which they shouldn't be, because this was not a crime to tell people to refuse illegal orders. Look, at the end of the day, like, this is where we're at. They're not joking. They're not doing this to score political points. I mean, they're doing it a little to score political points, but like, it's also where we're at. So I agree. I think people should not do things when the things are wrong, regardless of the fact that they were told to do it. And I think some people with authority issues might not realize that, so it's helpful to tell them. Now, turning to the next part 3 on the audiovisual segment, Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani was invited to or scheduled a meeting with the Republican autocrat, and they met, and it is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I didn't watch the video yet, but the quotes were hilarious, and I was like, I have to watch some part of this. Because you always know that, Donald Trump is primarily, I do think he's a white supremacist. I do think he's obviously like an extremely greedy person who wants money. But beyond all of that, I think he just never has felt the love of another human being, and he doesn't know what intimacy feels like, but he craves it more than anything, and he wants to be liked, and he wants his ego to be flattered, and he wants to be liked by someone who's popular. And he also knows realistically that his administration has been not doing that great popularity wise, so he is just trying to leech on to this popular politician. And this really surpassed that, though. Like, when Donald Trump said, I would live in New York under you, I was like, wow, because I just saw a quote of that in the news. I was like, wow, he did not have to say that. That was fantastic. So let's just see some random bits of this. He's like, do you like that? That's cool, right? Zoran really stays cool as a cucumber, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing.
In very strong common? Jesus Christ.
Built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down.
I never listened to Donald Trump talk. I like very rarely watch clips here and there and stuff, but I just usually get it from news. Like,
anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York, and we've got them down, way down from.
How did they make this decision for the president to stay sitting and Zoran to be standing? Like, that does seem like a strange choice.
Last year, we have...
it just inevitably looks like he's looking down on him. Like,
as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year, so that's good for New York.
They're also offering less for those same things. It's like a child could understand it.
Good for everybody. But
look at Zoran's expression. He's like, we all know that's bullshit.
But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I will say there's no difference in party.
So at first he's like hedging a little, right? He's like, hopefully you're going to have a really good mayor. He's not like full on saying, it'll be great yet. He's hedging a little bit.
There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So I have not seen anyone on the left criticizing this, but I'm sure there are like weirdos. I have zero criticism for Zoran meeting Trump at the White House. This is a very reasonable thing for him to do, and he did an amazing job of it. Like, I don't see any benefit to the right on this. Like, I only see benefit to the left and to liberals and to people who just want to make it harder for the president and the right wing to demonize socialist politics and to make it harder to target people in New York City or whatever might be done. Like, this seems like great for left and liberals.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million.
Keep in mind, obviously, Donald Trump's like a New York guy. His dad was like a famous New York slumlord. He was like a little New York prince his whole life. He was like a New York guy, and then eventually everyone hated him in New York because he's a bad person. He does bad things. People don't like him. You know, he eventually leaves to Florida. He knows that Florida's not, you know, it doesn't give him exactly what he wants, you know, but, you know, I think he wants to be liked more than anything. And so he probably dreams of New Yorkers liking him again.
People who call our city
He might literally dream of that.
their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president, I appreciated the conversation, I look forward to working together to deliver that.
He's a good politician. Zoran's a good politician. Like, this is like really well said and well framed and walking that line.
Affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson.
Like, he didn't really say anything to compliment the president there, but he spoke respectfully enough that Donald Trump can feel flattered, which he needs constantly because he's a little baby.
The New York Post. I've got a question for you, and then also one for Mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Oh my God, that's what you care about, is whether a war criminal can traipse through our cities?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what...
He says who knows. That who knows didn't sound like who knows if he's a communist. It sounds like who knows maybe communism's a good call. Which obviously Zoran's not a communist. He's a democratic socialist. There's obviously differences between these things.
Works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. Changed a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago.
Right, and that's why they're having Zoran there. Like, they are hoping to corrupt him, obviously. They're hoping that they could help, you know, make him lean away from serving public interest and towards serving the elite. You know, that's what they do. They invite you to their clubs, and they're like, do you like what you see? You know, this could all be yours, essentially.
It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on something. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually.
Oh my God. It just hurts the right so much. It's fantastic.
And some very liberal people, he won't surprise them because they already like him.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you...
So right now Trump is thinking, come on, man. We're trying to move past that stuff.
Planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty.
This is so well done.
And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
That's amazing. To just not address what they asked. Because, like, obviously, like, it's only right-wing people that are worried about this. Like, no one on the left is like, whoa, does he not think Trump is a despot or a fascist? Like, I hope not. That would be such a dumb takeaway. Like, he's meeting with the president. He's a mayor of an extremely important city. Like, meeting with the president, it helps in many ways for him to try to establish, like, in any way, a working relationship. Because, like he doesn't, you don't have to, like, take orders from the president like Cuomo to, like, you have to have a working relationship with the president, though, like, in some capacity. And also, again, this is just makes the left look so good to be complimented this way by their supposed enemies. But yeah, you know, he doesn't need to walk back his comments. He doesn't even need to, like, obviously he's not going to walk back that Trump's a despot and a fascist. Like, obviously he doesn't need to walk that back, but he also doesn't need to address it directly. You know? Because he's not trying to kill the vibe either. He's trying to maintain, you know, he's not there to fight with Donald Trump. That's not the point. Like, that would not help anyone. It would not help his constituents or anyone.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not.
Okay. A despot is actually quite bad, Donald Trump. But yeah. He's like, a despot isn't that bad. It's like, I actually see myself as quite a despot.
It's not that insulting. But maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President, Anthony Rashad from MTV Lebanon.
Good.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like, what do you say for the Lebanese today? It's the independent state of Lebanon. And what is...
It's something about Lebanon. I can't hear the question. I don't know if it's about Israel striking Lebanon. I couldn't really hear.
To push toward disarmament.
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else.
Oh my God. The Zionist ethnic state has fucking murdered hundreds of thousands of people, probably. Certainly at least 70,000 in the last 2 years. And they didn't do anything to get rid of Hamas. Like, this is not about fighting Hamas.
And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday.
Israel has continued murdering dozens of people a day since this so-called ceasefire. And they fucking bomb Lebanon.
Today, we had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming into.
This is all fake money.
No country has ever had anything like that, not even close.
It's fake money that doesn't exist and won't be paid.
If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars. I think
people are literally addicted to money, so he can't feel anything anymore. It's like a drug addict doing more and more drugs. He can't feel anything more. It has to be 20 trillion now. He can't feel anything unless it's 20 trillion. Soon it'll be 100 trillion.
Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the
Yeah, let's just keep bombing these countries or letting our allies bomb these countries, and then we'll probably get rid of the terrorists, right?
Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now for the first time peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years.
Except that Donald Trump is a Zionist. 3,000 years. Donald Trump is a Zionist, and Zoran Mamdani is an anti-Zionist. So, yeah.
Years. And now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president.
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think
we desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again 2 major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to...
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, Joe Biden, like, was the one inflicting genocide on the Palestinians along with the Zionist ethnic state. I mean, it was under his watch, and he paid for it and condoned it, and all the Democrats that went along with it. A very small minority spoke out. So I can understand people being hoodwinked by the Republicans pretending they'll be slightly less genocidal, but they're not.
Taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to...
Okay, so we're not going to watch this whole thing, though. I don't think we need to go into the whole thing Or should we? I don't know.
Address the cost of living crisis, and I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and
One in 10.
And I'm okay with that. I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes
Yeah,
to...
I don't want to watch the whole thing, actually. I'm not really interested in watching all 30 minutes of this. There was a moment I wanted to see, something about... I think the president, like, learned about the word groceries or something. I wanted to see. I like when people learn a new word. We used to have a word of the week segment here. Let's just check it out.
World, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a MetroCard.
Mr. Mamdani.
You know, we had some interesting conversations.
So yeah, Republican autocrat goes, oh wait, I could chime in on this. We're talking affordability.
You know, we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, you know, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. You know, it's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And
Look at the way he looks to Zoran, who's not even looking at him, as he says, another word is groceries. It's kind of an old-fashioned word.
another word is just groceries. You know, it's sort of
like this look is very much a look of looking for validation. Obviously, there's no other way to put it. He's looking for validation.
an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And
groceries is an old-fashioned word. Not like affordability, which is very new.
they're coming down high. They were, you know, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under
both of us.
The Biden administration.
Okay, yeah. How are you doing with that?
And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something in a bit?
President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law and local law. It's covered by a lot of laws.
I don't understand what the question was. That sounded confusing and vague.
But it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring
The thing is, they've kicked out a lot of the reputable journalists, so they have like some people from these rags who fairly, honestly, like do an okay job regardless, because like sometimes people just asking questions is okay, but like, yeah, they've kicked out a lot of the like respected journalists.
Anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law.
Okay, what a stupid, vague question. Just ask a more specific question. What are you talking about?
Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want?
She's asking him if it's at odds for him that Zoran said he supports international law. Like, that's so vague.
Do you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
Yeah, so notice Zoran doesn't say that's something we share. Like, he's careful on how he's talking. He's saying that's something we talked about and that's something other people care about. I mean, look, realistically, I understand, you know, despite what I said earlier, some people will see this as bad. Why would you're a democratic socialist. Why would you meet with the Republican autocrat? You know, isn't it hypocritical to meet with a fascist? No, I don't think it is, actually. I don't think meeting with someone means working with them. I just don't think it means that. Like, also, like, they obviously mayors work with the president to some capacity, to different capacities, but there's certainly some coordination there. Maybe not as much as governors, certainly, but there's like some element of working together, certainly if you're the New York City mayor. So like they are inevitably like distant coworkers working on completely different things, right? I mean, you and I both know they have different political projects, but like, is it bad for Zoran to go to the White House and like curry favor? Like, why is that bad? What are the negative outcomes of that? I mean, we'll see. Obviously, we're trying to predict. We can't know exactly what. But I am not in any way swayed. I've not heard any convincing argument of why this is bad to go look really good in the Oval Office and be talked up. I mean, the main positive outcome of this is now, like, it defeats the sort of villainization of democratic socialism. To have, like, the main opponents of democratic socialism praising it publicly from the Oval Office. So that, to me, is a huge win. I have not seen any downsides remotely that would outweigh that. Anyways, groceries is a great new word, so check out groceries. Lastly, on the audiovisual segment, checking in with Dave Rubin's podcast. You know I love to do it. We've been following it more than I think anyone else. I think if you check out the VJP Clips channel and the previous episodes of the VJP, you will see more coverage of this podcast than on any other platform. And I'm proud of that. We're not gonna go through the whole episode. I didn't watch or listen to the whole episode because I just wasn't, I'm not that big of a fan. But I did just check out the last segment, which is about hair. And Michelle Obama spoke at an event and was talking about stigma that black women deal with about their hair. And I wanted to, so I was like, that's interesting. So I just watched that part. And the reason it's interesting, because I talked about this, but I'm going to catch you all up because I know most of you don't see all of the episodes. A few episodes ago on Actual Friends, it was just Dave and Sage Steele. And they actually, the subject of black women's hair came up.
But she at least sort of looked cute, right?
They're talking about Karine Jean-Pierre, the Biden spokesperson, who is a black woman as well, who is a black woman. Yeah.
She has crunchy hair like you have, and it's kind of like fluffy and
it has never been referred to as crunchy. Now you're a racist. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no. What would you call that? It's
just say curly.
Curly, yeah, crunchy. That sounds positive to me. All right.
Really? Crunchy hair sounds positive to you? Nah, it doesn't sound positive to me, actually. We usually just call it curly. We don't come up with a different word when it's black women. We usually just say it's curly hair. I mean, it's just weird as a white guy to talk about black women's hair in that way. But okay, not a huge deal. But it was just a funny moment between very close friends, who hate identity politics, even though it comes up all the time in their way of thinking about things. And then a few episodes later, we saw them revisit, or like the next episode after this one, they referenced it because it was still on Dave's mind and he was like still thinking about it. Right at the beginning, they reference it.
But I am here because you are my actual friends and you're more important than my hair, obviously.
Because she was talking about skipping a hair appointment.
But I am here because you are my actual friends and you're more important than my hair, obviously.
And if I've learned anything on this show, black women and their hair, it's a whole situation. So thank you for taking the time. Jillian, you are back.
Pay no attention to the man who's charged with serious sexual assault charges in the UK, showing up shirtless to the podcast. By the way, he's like, yeah, anyways, I'm going to just not go into that. So Dave probably could have hoped for a bigger laugh on that joke. And I was confused about Jillian laughing because I was like, did she watch the previous episode? That she wasn't even on? Does she know what he's referring to? But anyways, this is the background of this subject. So they've talked about black women's hair that's a significant amount for just the last month. It's come up several times on this podcast. And then now they talk about Michelle Obama speaking about the subject of black women's hair and how it might be thought of and stigmatized. And for some reason, Drew is introducing this segment. They take turns introducing the segment. So for some reason, this disgusting guy, Mr. Drew, is introducing it.
Good point. All right, here we go.
Sure. But none of this is as important as what Drew is about to talk about.
Well, it's way, the buildup is far greater than the reality here. And we're switching from H-A-R-E and Bugs Bunny to H-A-I-R and Michelle Obama's hair. Do we have the video, Rachel, of her in this interview where she talks about having to straighten her hair? Do we have that?
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym
So the crowd loves that comment. They're like, that's a meaningful comment. I believe what she's saying is like people not swimming because they don't want the water to change their hair after it's being treated or straightened in some way and reveal the natural curliness of it. But obviously, like the fact that black people tend to not swim as much as white people, I believe is obviously not strictly related to that. It's obviously related to a history of structural racism, less access to pools when many pools did not allow black people to swim in them in the United States for many years.
Because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all.
But anyways, yeah, she's speaking to a big audience. Probably there's a lot of black women in the audience, or there's a lot of people in general, because she says she's speaking to white people as well as black people. But she's explaining the stigma that black women deal with and the pressure to straighten their hair to conform to predominantly white-centric beauty standards and so on.
It is exhausting, and it's so expensive, and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
This is something a lot of black women deal with. Clearly, listen to the crowd.
So a couple things.
Yeah, what's your take on that, Mr. Drew? Completely discredited and like embarrassed, like pseudo-professional entertainer grifter. What's your take on that?
First of all, when I think of straight hair, I think about Asians and Native Americans. I don't think about white people. That's
okay. What?
Necessarily. Dave, your hair's not that straight. Mine, when I grow out, not straight. But
your hair is not curly. And neither, I mean, like, look, I have curly hair. I'm also a white guy. But a lot of white people do have curly hair. That's not the point. It's not the idea was not that all white people have straight hair, right? Just because she's saying black women are pressured to conform to predominantly white beauty standards, which involves straightening their hair or like decreasing the natural curls, is not a statement that all white people have straight hair, Drew. You are kind of stupid if you think that's what she's saying.
That was kind of interesting. And I've had to, and by the way, I love the variety of hair that I think Corinne Jean-Pierre's hair was magnificent. I think Sage's hair is magnificent. I find it.
She's like, dude.
It's super appealing and attractive.
I don't want to speak for Sage. I don't know what she's thinking, but look at Jillian Michaels' face. It's so awkward. Look at Dave's face. They're all like, well, this guy's more famous than all of us, I guess.
Attractive. So speaking on behalf of all white people, I don't think we are that. We don't think about it that way.
I don't even know what to say.
But I've had to do a few shows about black women and hair. And it's not of my design, but
I've had to? What?
Fascinated by it. I had a daytime talk show on CW, and we had these groups of panels of African-American women. And when I kept going, but why the stray? Why I'm not seeing where that's coming from. And you, Sage, help me, please help me. Because this one woman said to me, she goes, look, where this came from was the slave owners preferred that, and they got into it and straightened the black women's hair and insisted on it. And I said, so you're going to go with those assholes' provisions? That you're going to stay with that? And then I thought, well,
how stupid do you have to have that be your reaction to it? As if people are consciously doing their hair to please dead slave owners. I mean, the idea is more that that's evidence that white people, I don't know the truth value of that exact statement, but that would be evidence of white people inflicting beauty standards on black people. So the question is not, are black people still following slave owners' dictates? The question is, are there remnants of those slave owners' dictates in social pressures?
Maybe it's recurrent trauma. You know what I mean? Trauma is a way of being reenacted. Maybe it was that in the beginning, and it's a traumatic reenactment.
So if you don't know Sage Steele, she's very much in her element here. She is absolutely a why I left the left grifter as well, in my opinion. So she's not gonna push back on any of this. And the reason I wanted to watch this segment is how funny it is that each of them say the most absurd, stupid thing one after the other. It's shocking how stupid each of them is. Each of them just comes in with a completely new stupid thing.
What do you think?
Might as well just ask for reparations for having curly hair now. Like,
I mean, what?
Shut up. It is ridiculous. And I find it, when I saw that clip, I was like, walk away, Sage, walk away. And of course I couldn't, because what are you doing? You're sitting there bitching about white people's standards to force you to make it straight.
No, she's not. I mean, she's literally not. She is there speaking to black women and about black women's expectations that black women have felt pressured to straighten their hair. It's not necessarily just complaining about those standards. It's also speaking to people who experience those standards. So it's a pretty significant difference.
And what are you doing getting paid $100,000 plus for speech, straightening your damn hair?
Well, if anything, that supports the point that even someone extremely wealthy and powerful like Michelle Obama feels some amount of pressure to straighten her hair. But regardless, if you think that's hypocritical, it doesn't change the truth value of what she's saying. Like, she can still, like, maybe, let's say she doesn't feel pressured to, I mean, obviously Michelle Obama feels pressured to straighten her hair. That's why she spoke about that. But if she didn't and she just, straighten her hair for some other reason, or she likes it more that way and doesn't feel any pressure, that wouldn't make what she's saying false.
Is anyone telling you what to do? Whoa.
That's the thing, your hair straight. I'm like, but
Why does that contradict her point that she also feels the pressure to not have her hair in the natural way?
And I tweeted about it, and literally the number of people who are like, yeah, I'm white, and I have never once thought about black women's hair or telling you how to.
Well, I guess that's how we study things, right? We just look at Twitter comments from white people saying they personally have never pressured black women to straighten their hair. We don't want to necessarily, look at, obviously we don't want to look at research, but, you can find research from the last few years and from many, many different types of studies about stigmatization and discrimination towards black women and their hair. This article says discrimination towards black hair is pervasive in today's society. Hair discrimination is negative bias manifested toward black, natural, or textured hairstyles, typically worn by persons of African descent. This commentary discusses the potential effects of hair discrimination on the health and well-being of persons of African descent. Specifically, it explores the mental and physical health implications of hair discrimination and situates it within the broader context of social determinants of health. So you can read more about that if you want to find information beyond just white people's Twitter comments. But yeah, it says actual or fear of hair discrimination can affect health behaviors in black persons directly and indirectly. Complex but perceived hair discrimination or activities done to straighten hair. And we can read actual or fear of hair discrimination can affect health behaviors in black persons directly and indirectly. The relationships and paths from hair discrimination to health outcomes are complex, but discrimination is associated with numerous mental and physical health outcomes. Perceived hair discrimination or activities done to straighten hair to prevent hair discrimination or conform to discriminatory policies may place individuals at risk for disease, burns, hair loss, etc., or risk for other risk factors, for example, physical inactivity. Although the experiences of hair discrimination addressed in this article have focused on natural hair and hairstyles in persons of African descent, people with, quote, non-natural hair also face discrimination, prejudice towards black people who straighten their hair, prejudice towards certain hair colors, etc. Had gingers, for example, the most persecuted minority group. The purpose of this piece is to shed light on the long history and potential effects of hair discrimination on persons of African descent in the United States. The authors are not stating that black natural hair is superior, obviously, but to advocate for everyone's freedom to wear their hair in whatever means they choose. Passage of the Crown Act brings us one step closer to this, but more work is needed to ensure that people should have a choice to wear their hair however they choose. This is the Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair Act, which passed in 2020. And 7 states have passed this act into law. 23 others have introduced it for consideration. to ban discrimination in hair texture and protective hairstyles in the workplace and schools, because actually a lot of places do discriminate. So black women report being frustrated at the amount of time and effort it takes to hide salient racialized characteristics about themselves, including their hair, to fit in for job interviews or in new job situations. Also affects school-aged children through bullying and school appearance policies and codes. Association of Black Psychologists support this sort of anti-hair discrimination laws. And in their study of 40 blogs, some researchers found that blogs have been created with the clear intention of offering informal support to other persons with natural hair, with one blog being described as hair therapy. So a lot of people dealing with this. Society's view of natural hair as unattractive and unmanageable was prevalent during slavery, wherein slave owners required black women to cover their hair or adopt grooming practices that emulated white or Eurocentric beauty standards. So the point that Drew mentioned from the panels he hosted was correct, and his interpretation was just insane and ridiculous and anti-scientific. To say that people are like intentionally following slave owners' beauty standards. That's not the point. The point is those same discriminatory practices still persist. Growing evidence of the impact of hair discrimination. Media stories of hair discrimination are reported in schools, from kindergartens to universities, at work, the military, public office. We talked about the ruling, the executive order about requiring people in the military to shave their faces, and how that disproportionately affects black men, who are like 60% of the cases of the folliculitis. I forget exactly what it's called. So it was like this policy that seems race neutral. Oh, people in the military can't have beards, they need to shave. But it actually affects black men more, because black men more need to have beards because they have an issue that when they shave, they can have more skin irritation. And the treatment of that is just having a beard. It's just not shaving. But the military doesn't want black people in it because it's a white supremacist organization more than ever. So a lot of hair discrimination. And so something to think about, I guess. But or we could just listen to, people talk about the white people that commented on their tweets and what their opinions were on this issue.
Aware. Now, are there deep-rooted issues? Yes. We talked about this over the summer on one of the shows. I think it was the show that you were on, Drew. And I told you how deep it does go, and how, as a biracial woman with what is called good hair, yes, trust me, Jill, hated, disliked, whispered about, oh, she thinks she's better than us because she has good hair. Wait, what? Did I ask for this? Actually, when I was on TV for 30 years, it was different and weird because every woman, including white women, straighten their hair when they're on TV.
Sure. Okay, sure.
The fact that she is using this now and talking about we can't swim because of our hair, there's just so many layers that she, again,
Sage, did you notice that the crowd roared in excitement and applause and appreciation when Michelle Obama made that statement? Do you think that maybe you might not get it if an entire crowd of people understands that comment and relates to it? And oh yeah, that is a type of physical behavior that maybe we wouldn't do that would otherwise be healthy, but we don't do it because we're worried about it affecting our ability to conform to Eurocentric beauty standards. The whole crowd understood that comment, Sage.
Going into the divisiveness, as she is the ultimate capitalist, and
sure.
God bless her for that. And maybe most importantly, this is funny and comical as she tries to sell her book.
Capitalism has nothing to do with this. Selling her book, has nothing to do with this. She's expressing something that a lot of people feel.
I feel like she must have the same publicist as Karine Jean-Pierre with the book thing, because every single time she gets on stage to talk about the book, she is laughed at more and more. They have been out of office for almost a decade. This is a former first lady, and this is what you're doing with your platform right now.
Speaking about discrimination that a lot of people experience.
Hitting on your husband and bitching about the fact that white people are making you straighten your hair.
That's not what she was saying.
I've lost all respect for this woman because of how she's choosing to behave with that title, a former first lady.
Okay, well, you have, I'm sure, a lot of people's respect, Sage, for the way you're behaving.
It's funny and it's pathetic.
So I think the latter part of what Sage just said there is my main takeaway. It's like, to whatever extent any of this is even true or matters or wherever it comes from or anything.
What? So Dave is hand-waving away the idea of what's true and what matters. Well, it is true that black women have faced a lot of discrimination about their hair, Dave, so that is true. And it does matter because it affects their health outcomes psychologically and physically. So I would say what's true and what matters is important, actually.
It's like, lady, you could be doing so much good right now and figuring out ways to empower young people and all of those things. And this is what you're focusing on. And by the way,
that's exactly what she's doing. Go get some more money from Russia.
This isn't just a one-off. I mean, it's been a recurring thing with her. I'll just say one other thing. I didn't realize the swimming thing was directly connected to this. So
I've heard
black
that.
people, is the implication black people can't swim because somehow the straightened hair is going to sop them down? Or
Dave, sometimes things are like caused by multiple things. So black people are disproportionately less exposed to swimming because historically black people have been barred from places where swimming takes place in the United States. Also, Michelle Obama is referencing, in I think a sort of humorous way, and the crowd found it funny and relatable, that probably a lot of black women don't swim at certain times because they're worried about how it's going to affect their hair. If they put a lot of effort into decreasing perceived or actual discrimination based on their hair, then they, wouldn't want to swim because swimming affects that. It's not rocket science.
I mean, Sage, I got a party in a couple weeks. We're throwing you in the pool.
If you
know
go
how to swim?
swimming,
You can't mess with the hair. You can't get
it
mad.
doesn't stay straight if you go swimming. But
Thanks, Jillian. Helpful.
I know this because I obviously have a child who is 99.9% West African.
So I have no idea what Jillian means, and I'm not going to look into her child's genetics, but I don't know why she's talking about this, as if that gives her a right to speak on this.
Sure, West African. And just, Sage, if you don't mind, just one thing she goes on to say, like, I know you cannot touch our hair. And here's the thing, white people only want to touch afros because we admire them. No.
Thanks, Jillian. That's super new information and really helpful. I guess the question is, do we only care about intent or do we care about impact as well? And are you being willfully stupid or no? I don't think this is willful.
No one's trying to touch you, but when people do want to touch your hair, it's because we actually think it's beautiful and cool.
She has this really like stunted vibe. Like she reminds me of like a 16-year-old or something. Like what is her energy right now?
And then when white people want to go get braids, you tell us that we're appropriating your culture, but then she just said that we made her go get braids.
Make it make sense. How could white people be appropriating black people's culture by wearing similar hairstyles while also white people, other white people are, and the overall society that is dominated by white people being in power is also influencing discriminatory policies towards black natural hair? How could that possibly be? How could these two things be true?
She's only making braids for you, and there's an infamous clip of me on SportsCenter probably 13 years ago when Chael Sonnen, the former UFC fighter, in the middle of a live segment, and he was crazy, like a live wire on TV and so much fun, and he leaned over just to kind of mess with me on live TV, and I was young and new, and he's like, "You have beautiful hair. Can I touch it?" And I guess that was a no-no. Growing up, it didn't matter. I get compliments literally.
Weird, Sage. You shouldn't touch a stranger,
No.
but I mean, it's an admiration thing.
It's funny because Sage is like agreeing with Jillian's point, but Jillian knows that her point is bad, like deep down. So she's like trying to continue to make her point less bad.
You have to look at the clip and you have to understand the context of who he is. And he's like borderline comedian.
Okay, or you could just talk about the issue in a systemic way.
And trying to make people feel awkward. And it worked. And I was like, I don't care because look, I can't control it anyway. And
Okay, you also said you have good hair and that black people like consider your hair different than their natural hair, that they feel the need to change to fit into Eurocentric discriminatory policies and so on.
it's so funny because at the end of the day, I was looking at it from a sports perspective. Like, I'm trying to fit in with the guys here. And if he says, if I say, don't touch my hair, then it's some girly girl on SportsCenter. And I was like, I actually don't care. Go for it. And he's like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And it's
Right, so you felt pressure to let white people exoticize your hair.
soft, right? Every single day, no matter where I am, every day you can ask my husband, people say something nice about my hair and like, oh my God, your curls. And so like, it's like,
So do you think all black women experience that, Sage, in the same way and have the same emotional reactions to it? And it affects everyone in the same way it affects you?
compliment, and no one is forcing us to do anything. As far as
Actually, that's not true. Just look it up.
the swimming thing, I'll end on this. Maybe with women, yes, because there are times when, guess what? I don't want to get my hair wet either,
It was about women. This whole conversation was about women, Sage.
because then I got to start over. It takes 4 hours to dry. So I'm sorry. What does that mean? 3 days out of a blowout. Right. So what does that mean for black men? Why are we going to blame black hair on why black men?
Michelle Obama was speaking to women predominantly. And there's other issues that affect black men, like I mentioned, about the military not being allowed to have beards. And black men having way more often having this genetic skin issue that if they shave too frequently, they get skin irritation. So, yeah, Michelle Obama did not sum up every single issue that's related to this. She talked about one general thing that's very relevant to her and her audience and the people in the room.
Can't swim too, or is it just the women who can't swim?
Just the women.
Because of their
It's just the women. It's just the women.
Well, you also know that black people were historically barred from pools, right? Sage, like, you know that, right?
Sage, I'm telling you, at the Christmas party, it's going to be black people only in the pool. How's that?
I guess that's funny. I guess that's funny.
That sounds okay, right?
You better have paramedics there.
Oh, Sage. Oh, Sage. Jesus Christ. Oh, wait, I had one more research study to show also. I can't believe that. This one's this is in a Google Doc, Donna. You wanted me to show this bad that it's in a Google Doc. I think one study was enough. But okay, this one's Hair We Grow Again. It is a study from just 5 years ago. And it says there are more black women in the American workforce than any other women. That's interesting. Using interpretive phenomenological analysis, the researchers extracted 5 main themes. So they did, this one's based on interviews with 9 black women with less than 2 years of work experience in various professions. And let's just see what they found. They found that there's a substantial burden of natural hair bias and discrimination, and the need for strategies to help black women navigate these experiences in the workplace. These findings support and extend the idea that natural hair bias does present challenges to black women's upward mobility. Early career black women in this study were well aware of those challenges and understood them as opportunities to advocate for themselves by choosing authenticity and optimal health over conventional standards of beauty at work, even when it threatened their ability to move forward. So that's fantastic. You see resilience, you see people saying, I'm going to do my own thing regardless. The majority of them were from mental health professions. So they're like more maybe leaning towards their own mental health than people in other fields potentially. I wouldn't be surprised. So while workspaces and professions, white, the researchers applied this theory to early career black women with natural hair who described that they constantly have to negotiate their identities in predominantly white workspaces and professions, and that wearing natural hair might shortlist their opportunities for advancement. So, look, I think we've looked at enough research today, but suffice it to say, if you're looking for extremely anecdotal, like bad taste jokes, you should check out Dave Rubin's podcast to not understand any issues of the day. So how are you liking the podcast, public? You think you're going to subscribe to the Patreon and then become a member on the main channel, the West Therapy channel, to get access to these private episodes, or what? I do the public episode every 3 weeks, so you can stick around for that, or you could check out the private episodes where we get a little bit more intimate and we have some fantastic time. But now, before we get out of here, this is an important thing. I do a follow-up segment where I follow up on the previous episode, and I make sure that no one can call me out for anything. And so far, it's great, because no one's called me out. So, first up, I should have mentioned this during the Pluribus horizontal integration segment. I was talking about Pluribus last week, and I just made such a silly comment. I was talking about Carol and her relationship with Helen, and I say this. I'm talking about how Carol's character is gay and how she, struggles with like not being able to feel like she can be open about that to her audience. She's a writer, and she's just never told her audience that she's gay, and she has like all these heterosexual relationships in the books that she writes. Which I think is like painful for her to write, just because she like doesn't, her heart's not really in it in some way. Not that, that would be true of everyone, but it seems true of her. And then I said this while I was talking about it.
Comfortable like stopping having this like sort of heterosexual love relationship that she wasn't really passionate about writing about, it sounds like. And even in the first episode, she talks with her partner. I don't think they're married. I actually don't remember.
No, they're obviously not married because she's hiding from the world that she's gay. So obviously she's not married to Helen, because then it would be much harder to hide that she's gay from her audience. So that was a silly comment on my part. One more Pluribus follow-up.
That is, and it's interesting that there's this mystery, but it's also like it's not really important. Like, it might be important. I guess I just, when I was complaining about Apple TV, blah, blah, I guess what I'm really saying is, like, I really hope this show goes to, like, 3+ seasons.
And I still hope it does, but at least the second season is confirmed so far. So, that's good. I mean, I'm sure that was, like, part of the deal. I'm sure Vince was like, I'm not doing 1 season. So, at least 2 seasons. So, that's good to know. Next up on the follow-ups segment.
Okay.
I was talking about There Will Be Blood.
So, point is, I don't think that he was asking about the mom for that reason. I thought he was asking about the mom because he thought this guy might have known whether his mom knew something, but I don't know what he was wondering whether his mom knew. I assume maybe he was wondering. First of all, we don't know what happens to Daniel's wife. I haven't read the book, Oil, by Upton Sinclair. Maybe there's all these...
Daniel is the main character, played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Details in there, but it is worth just treating There Will Be Blood as a movie in and of its own. We don't know what happens to Daniel's wife. We know that he lies about his... We don't know what happened to the mother of Daniel's son. It's possible... I mean, he lies and tells someone she died in childbirth, which we know is a lie because he doesn't tell it to someone else. Why would you not tell it in that second situation? So, did he murder her? I don't know. I mean, it's very disturbing to say, but like he murders someone in the film, so it's really not that far-fetched.
Spoiler alert about There Will Be Blood, by the way, but he murders several people in the film, including the guy that's being shown on screen right now. So that was a little bit of a failure on my part in lack of clarity. Next up on the follow-up segment, this is important. Don't say this is not important, Donna. This is important. Why do you hate the follow-up segment?
So this is in keeping with God's principle that it's not about the butt.
Don't ask. Don't ask. This is when I say it's more intimate on the private episodes. This is between me and the patrons and members. Don't ask.
Of the word, the grammar.
Okay.
As in the contraction of the word, the grammar word, but.
But is not a contraction. It's a conjunction. That's all you need to know. Don't worry about what we were talking about there. Next up on the follow-up segment, more about Pluribus. Oh yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of this ad they did.
Sorry we upset you, Carol.
We're sorry we upset you.
We're sorry we upset you, Carol.
We're sorry we upset you, Carol.
We're sorry
we upset you,
Carol.
Carol, if you need us, we're here for you.
Oh, wow. What's her name?
Her name is Carol, actually. So it's funny that I got her name wrong when her name is Carol, and also the character's name is Carol. It's Carol Burnett, right? Carol Burnett. Yeah, and she was obviously on Better Call Saul. And so it's kind of cool that she does this cameo. Also cool that she's named Carol. It makes you wonder if the character Carol Sturka is named after her. I don't know. Okay, and then lastly, what is this here?
Actually, I'll have Joseph Google it while I'm saying it. Will fact check me live. I think he also tried to pass a bill that would...
Talking about Gavin Newsom.
So I went into detail on how insane it is that Dave Rubin openly lied about this piece of legislation in California that turned it from a felony to a misdemeanor to infect someone with HIV, when that was an important law for decreasing stigma and discrimination, because other diseases, including deadly viruses like hepatitis, are only a misdemeanor if you give it to someone. So the fact that HIV was a felony is literal discrimination and affects black people more and non-white people in general way more than white people. And it's a form of, it's used for discrimination in a variety of different ways. And Dave, a gay man, I guess is trying to say that like these types of laws are threatening like people with getting infected with HIV because it actually makes it more likely, which is not true. And I read information from experts in the medical and legal fields who found that there were no effective deterrent effects from these severe discriminatory laws. So Dave was completely wrong to feel threatened by this type of legislation, that it hurts people to feel like it threatens anyone. I don't know if he's thinking of the gay community. He doesn't seem like he's a part of any community in any world. But like, no matter who you're thinking of, like these laws are safer for people and they're better for people according to the research that I read. But I didn't comment enough on how crazy the fact is that he brings it up in this context, because they're specifically talking about transgender people in this moment, and Dave specifically says this insane comment.
Undermining women's rights. Right. Here we are. Yeah, well, the same people that wanted to defend gay rights are now the most anti-gay. Correct. I mean, that's what the whole trans movement is, just radically anti-gay. If I'm not...
I mean, he just says that with no substantiation, right. But then this is his substantiation. I forgot to mention that just in saying how wrong he was. By the way, he says, oh, let my guys fact check me about the bill completely decriminalizing giving people HIV. His people fact check him, tell him he's right, and he says, wow, I was right. No, you were wrong. It decriminalized it from a felony to a misdemeanor, so you fucking lied. And you should feel ashamed of yourself. But I didn't even mention the fact that he brings this up as if it has anything to do with transgender people. It has nothing to do with transgender people, Dave. Is your brain functioning? Like you go from, oh, trans people are anti-gay to let me talk about a bill decriminalizing HIV? Are you stupid? Do you think that has anything to do with trans people?
How do you figure?
So I was just caught up in like how stupid his comments were, but I didn't even mention that's his transition. He's talking about the bigoted idea that advocates for trans people are working against gay people like himself, and it's as evidence for this that he mentions and wrongly describes this California law from 2017 or 2018 or something, which changed the discriminatory excessive punishment. So it's unbelievable to me that was his transition, for lack of a better word, from one thing to the other. It's unfathomable. And if you don't catch stuff like that, you're getting hoodwinked. Okay. Oh yeah. Lastly, on the follow-up segment, I was talking about the Verbal Journal podcast channel that you're watching this on.
The members first last time that you appreciate my work. It's really nice. It's really cool to have, like I said, it's not really a community, but it is an audience. And I do love that.
I forgot to say, as I was saying, it's not really a community. Because it's true. I mean, it's not, we need real communities. Like, I don't believe that online communities like mine here, like, this is not a community. But I did forget to mention that it's funny that I made that comment, like, at the same time as I just recently made it I opened like a community page. Oh, wait, no, it's on the other one. It's on the Clips channel. Yeah, right? No? So there's a community. YouTube's created this like community feature, so I think you can actually post here. I don't know how to find it. Oh, visit community. It's a big button. So you can actually post here. So go post here. Talk about the podcast. Tell me about what you think. You can post here. Be a part of the community. Prove me wrong about this not being a community, I guess. I don't really care. Okay. That's the follow-up segment. I hope you enjoyed that a lot. Now we get to the mailbag segment where we read all the emails from all the people writing in, and it's usually too many to even get to all at once. Oops. I'll go to this. And let's check that out. So yeah, people writing in to verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. And let's see who we got today. Okay, no one wrote in. Fantastic, because it's been a really long episode. We are not going to do improv today, but I am going to get back to doing improv, and I don't care what anyone, my producer, or anyone thinks about that, because I'm going to take more control of this. I'm going to assert my agency on this podcast a little bit more moving forward. I think we all learned a lot about how producers can get in the way. All right, and now it's time to thank the patrons and the members. So you could join these patrons and members if you're very cool by signing up if you have disposable income at patreon.com/whatstherapy or become a member of the main channel for just a few bucks a month. I appreciate it. You don't have to, don't spend money you don't have. But if you do have a lot of money, I really do appreciate it. I do appreciate all the support a lot, and it really makes a difference, frankly. I'm going to start with it's too much to keep track of who I started with last time, so I'm going to stop doing that, but I'm just going to start with the Patreon patrons. In order of most amount of money given to me lifetime. I think we should do it that way. I don't often do it that way, but that's a good way to do it, to kind of give credit to the big spenders here. Thank you, user, MJ, Miles, Brent, Madeline, Rabid Dog, Irene, Burrow, Anastasios, Ryan, Thulusaurus Rex, Gunther, Scott, Redgrove, Ashley, Hugh, Ian, Molly, Russ, Platinum, Sarge, Elemancy, Icelac, King, Margot, Tom, Noah, Matt, Simply Snaps, MK, Ibnomad, Miranda, A, Perpetually Jackson, Noah, Garrett, Aiden, Felix, JCS, Dakota, Parker, Caffeine, Raymond, Grace, Ludwig, J, Milky Way, Ryan, Isabel, Muad, Gripe Juice, Ben's Life, Spaghetti Gal, Cool Beans, Stepan, Will, Marcy Bun, Brandon, Merrick, Eve, Sasha, Jamie, PC, AZ, Andrew, and Majid. And then thank you so much to the members. Adam on Hook, Riri, Channel Has Been Deleted, Mobius, Succinate, Colycraft, Matthew, Jasmine, Simply Snaps, Jifa, Hollow Moon, and Pit Inhabitant. Thank you so much, y'all. I really, really appreciate it. And that about does it. These episodes aren't always going to be super long. Like, freaking, this one's probably almost like pushing 2 hours, I would guess. I don't know. They don't tell me that information until I get to the end. They say it distracts me. But I'm not easily distracted. Right? Right? My producer's like walking away. We're not done with the episode yet. All right. We're gonna figure this all out. We're gonna figure this all out. Between you and me, we're gonna figure this all out. No, nothing. Nothing. All right, bye. This is a